Hello guys, Andre here. Let's talk about semantics. What are semantics? So in HTML, semantic refers to the use of HTML elements that convey a meaning. Anytime you will hear semantics, think about meaning. Is my element conveying a meaning? Does it make sense if I look or read the HTML tag or element? If it does, then it is a semantic element. If it does not, then it's not a semantic. These semantic elements are important because they not only structure your web page in a correct way, they also are meaningful to machines, to search engines and screen readers which scan or parse your code of a page and try to create an idea what this page is about. And your semantic elements greatly help the machines to get an idea what the page is about. Let's see an example here. The most popular element that you would see in HTML pages will be this one, div, which stands for division. And this is a generic container. Why is it generic? Because anything go inside of a div. Any content can go inside. And the question would be, what the content is inside of my div. This is a div and this is a navigation of my website. For example, just looking at this tag, I'm not able to say, is it a navigation inside of this tag? Is it a section, an article, a news post or blog post? It's too generic and the name of this container doesn't say anything. That's why it's not semantic. When developers were trying to improve it, at least in the way that was available for them, they started to add IDs to their very generic div elements. So in this case, a developer added ID navigation, and at least this way, when the developer was reading the code, they understood, oh, this div actually has my navigation, or it may be div main. So that will mean to me, when I'm reading my code, that this div has main content of my page. So that was an attempt to add at least some meaning to divs which are not semantic. And these are more examples here. You may see ID header, nav, main, section, or footer. All these were the attempts to make generic div more semantically correct. And still, they were not semantically correct because this is, again, it's only a div or generic container. So once semantics were introduced into HTML, all these elements, they were converted to a special tag. So here I have a div ID header, but a semantic equivalent of that is actually a header element or a header tag. The same for navigation. There's a special tag nav, which is now a semantic element. There's also main, section, footer, and many more other semantic elements introduced into HTML. Let me show one more example. So if the code before semantics was written like this, div with ID navigation and some navigation inside, now the better way to write the same code will be to use nav as an element. So instead of div, I am typing nav here and I am typing nav here as a closing tag. Okay. What are the benefits of semantics? I tried to briefly explain that. Let's revisit that again. So it improves accessibility for screen readers. All those machines that will be reading your code for the users who are not able to see, those screen readers are really appreciate semantic elements. They now can understand the structure of your HTML page, of your document, and they can build their this structure internally inside of the screen readers and present that information to the users who are using screen readers in a correct way. It also helps with your SEO, because search engines can better understand the content of on your page if they see or find HTML semantic elements in your HTML. And it honestly it even enhances the readability of your code for human beings, for developers. If you read your own code, HTML code, it's much easier to understand what this code is about if you see those semantic elements. They speak to you about the meaning of the code. If you want to know more about semantic elements, this is the correct URL where to go and to read. And now let's dive into specific elements. So the first in our list is section. This is a semantic element that defines a section on a page. Typically, it will have a heading and some content inside. And this is just a basic example of a section element. I have opening and close section tag and heading inside and some content inside of this section element. The next is article. Article specifies independent content. That means that the content enclosed inside of an article should make sense on its own. I can remove that element from my page and my page still makes sense without it, because this article is kind of independent. It doesn't depend on my page. It's okay to have it, it's nice to have it, this element inside of my page with some content in it, but it's independent. I can move it to another page and it will still make sense in another page. These are usually related to forum or blog posts, so maybe one blog post is related to one page, but you can relate the same blog post to another page. That's why this article element will be used for that type of content, and this will be independent. The same for user comments or newspaper articles. If you have a lot of articles on your website, each newspaper article will be will use article semantic element in your HTML. And this is the basic example of how to use it. So I have opening and closing article element, and inside I will have my content. In this case I have H2 heading level 2 and some paragraph inside. Alright, so let's talk about the next one, which is main. Main element defines the main content of the page, and this is important. The main content or the content inside of main should be unique. What that means, it should be unique to a particular page. It should not contain the repeated elements. And the repeated elements are those which repeat on each page. We usually repeat sidebars, navigational links, header with site logo, copyright in the footer. So all those repeated elements, they do not go inside of main. Main should be particular or unique to your specific page. Here's an example. So I have my navigation element outside of my main. Then my main has some content. All content that relates to my page, including different articles, other semantic elements, will go inside of my main, and footer will be outside again. So footer and nav doesn't belong to main, though they technically they can exist inside of article, inside of a section. Each article and section can have its own navigation, a small navigation related to that part of content. That's fine, but if we are talking about the main navigation, the links that belong to all pages, they should go outside of main element on your page. All right. The next one is header. So header is a semantic element, and it represents introduction to the content. Many times, as this example I have here, many times header will have a title of this section. So this article is a section, it has a title with H1, and this H1 can be nested inside of a header. So header is like a description of what will be this section about. And maybe there is some explanation, my mission, some title. They all can go into a header. It can also be some author information, maybe contact details about whatever content you have inside of article. They can all go to your header element. And please don't confuse that with head, because head element is only one and exists only above the, or outside of a body element. So head is part of HTML. That's where you will add all your scripts and meta tags. But header is a semantic element. It can be used anywhere in your HTML, inside of a body, in article or outside of article, and this is the way to use it. Footer. Footer defines some section on the page, usually is something at the bottom, and typically it has, again, some author information, copyright, maybe contact information, and this is the example. I have a name and email of an author, for example, in my footer. The next one is nav, and nav stands for navigation, so it will define the navigation links. It may be the main navigation of your website, and you will have these links here, or it may be a navigation inside of a specific section. So you'll put a navigation element inside of a section or article. It's important to remember that you can easily nest semantic elements inside of each other. That's perfectly fine. So here is an example of nesting different elements. I have my body element, which is kind of the main container for everything that I have in my HTML. I have a header element, and this is outside of main because this will be repeated on each page, and this is not unique to my specific page. That's why the header is outside of main. And header has navigation element with the navigation links inside. Then I will have my main element, and inside of main I will have my H1 heading level 1 element, and then maybe a section, and inside of a section I can again have a header. Now this header is related to specifically this section only, and it has maybe a title or a subtitle related to the section, some content related to the header, maybe some author information. And it also has an article which is nested inside of my section. So section is like a grouping element for other elements that would need to go inside of this part of my page, inside of this section. And I have an article or another section. That's perfectly fine to have it, this one, as a section, like this, and closing section here. And again, I follow the correct heading structure now because my section is nested inside of another section, and this section had H2 element, heading level 2. Then the next heading in a child section should have the next level, which is H3. And we can go nesting even deeper if we need to specify the content this way. And so that's it for the main, and I have a footer outside. As I mentioned, it's for copyright, maybe for navigation links. It's usually a preferable way to duplicate the links both on top of your page and on the bottom of your page. You will have it inside of your footer, and then we are closing the body tag. Thank you.